Good, you are here. Clario has made good on his promise. We are making ready to free your ship. I say still that you are fortunate. The ship was nearly lost, but it will float. For how long, I cannot say. You will wish to find a friendly port with some speed, I think. So you will go to the great Kahanga city as well. You must sail north for some time, and then a little east. Take care, Neketa, outsider. It will close its jaws around you, and you will never notice. Come, we will see your Defiant out to sea.
We should address the matter of our ship's resources before we get underway. It saddens me to inform you that we lost several crew and most of our provisions during the storm. However, Port Margé appears to be well supplied, and I expect the recent disaster has left several sailors in want of a ship. I suggest we contract for additional supplies and crew before we return to open water, or our voyage may indeed be a short one.
On behalf of the Principe Sen Patrina, I must request we meet in parley. Agrasima. I will make this quick. I have heard some marvelous tales regarding your ventures in the Deerwood. In fact, you are the first dragon slayer I have ever met. Outside of a grave, some fools would seek to make a fortune by pilfering from one such as you.
He's done his research. Might as well hear him out.
I believe you have met such a fool. Captain Benweth of the Drake. Gelarde. Then that should make this easy. I am keen to show my rascal of a compatriot some much-needed humility. I thought perhaps you may care to as well.
For our teas, do my job for me, friend. Hope you don't die in the effort.
As an ally to the Knights of the Crucible, I believe Benweth sought to take you down a notch. Word of Benweth's raid on the Defiant will spread throughout the Deadfire. More fools will seek to prey upon you. I would suggest you stave off all others by making an example of Benweth. I will be honest with you, amico. I do not favor Benweth, nor do I care for the company he keeps. Such fools and scoundrels serve only to tarnish the Principe's reputable name. But I believe you will be capable of setting him straight. Of course, amico. Work with me, and I will weight your pockets with gold. When you have dealt with my problem, I will prepare a fine welcome for you at my port. Now, a tip for you. Benweth's Drake took damage during the storm. Eventually, he will need to dock for repairs, and when he does, Seraphin can find him for you. He is rather an unrefined creature, but he is a most skilled ship hunter, I assure you.
Unrefined? Begging your pardon, Captain, but I'd be the fucking model of the Gentleman of Fortune. As for Benweth, that sucker of squid tits be as predictable as the tide. I'd wager all my furriest bits that he'd set sail for Deadlight.
That would be felicitous indeed, as I believe the traitor Remaro hides there as well. I quite enjoy killing 2 men with a single bullet.
Wouldn't have even thought of it if you hadn't brought it up, sir. Now, I ain't hardly in any hurry to leave the fine company of the Gentlemen of Leisure, but the captain be right about me finding your mark. Adding to that, you sail into Fort Deadlight not knowing your innies from your outies, you might very well find the locals cannon fucking your boat to sodden splinters. Are you asking aside from my vaunted ship hunting abilities, self-evident manners, and cyclopedic know-how of all things piratical?
What venture does not require an investment to be prosperous? Seraphin is an allowance, which I expect you will return, in one payment or another.
Oh, you won't be regretting this, Watcher. At least so long as you keep us heavy in grog and light on the onions. Ugh, them dirty shit apples ain't never agreed with me, and I'll be suspecting they never will.
He's not sleeping near my berth, I promise you that much.
I sail now for Dunwich, my own safe port. I will await you there, should you be successful in schooling our wayward captain.
Not a problem.
I wish you'd maintained my story in front of Vanessa and the others. I didn't enjoy deceiving them, but it seemed simpler than the alternative. Then why did you... Believe me, I take no pleasure in duplicity. After we parted, I set out to destroy the Leaden Key. It's controlled us for too long. I wanted to free Kith from it. So for 5 years, I've been tracking down Leaden Key circles, searching for the places where they operate in secret, trying to undo them. The task has been more difficult than I anticipated. I don't think I fully understood the weight of the decisions I would have to make, or the burden of living with them. It was much easier when I only had to follow someone else's lead. My father's, Theos's, yours. After we defeated Theos, I thought the hard part of undoing his work would be tracking down the Leaden Key's members and operations. Perhaps this would be easier with an example. I went to a village in Old Valia, a run-down backwater of a place. Centuries ago, the Leaden Key had intervened to end some heretical cult. The details were lost, but what had endured was a practice of ritual bloodletting. At every full moon, the villagers would feed the soil with their blood. No one, young or old, sick or hale, was exempt. The village priest administered the practice. Grim old fellow. Reminded me of Theos. He was a tyrant. I was certain that if the villagers were free of his influence, they'd be free from the bloodletting too. So I arranged for him to have an accident. The old man died, and the villagers were terrified. They were convinced his death was an ill omen. They blamed it, and every other mishap that befell them, on their lack of faith. So they began bloodletting every week, turning on their neighbors for giving too little. Instead of a handful dying each year, a few perished every week. I had to do something, didn't I? I keep wondering what I might have done differently, or how I could have known better. I suppose I should get some rest. It's been a long day, and you've given me a lot to think about. Ah, that. I'm looking for an old Leaden Key sect. I've found several references, but I want to be sure. Please, let me go over my notes again. Then I promise I'll tell you everything. Hey, this brings back some memories, huh? I like that feeling, knowing we'd stopped Theos. We were part of something big. That was something I never felt before, not even at war. Guess I went looking for it again. Not that I wanted to tangle with gods, but something smaller. Something I thought I could manage. I looked all around the Deerwood, but that place has too many ghosts for me. Things I just ended up moving to Adir and tracking down my parents. They went there as refugees after the war ended. In part, I guess. Adir, they still got some bad blood with Deerwood. Goes back to the Revolution. Some Adirans like to give Deerwoodans a hard time they get the chance. With my folks, a group came along and tried to take their land. Made a phony claim to it. I sat down with them and we had a friendly negotiation. One fella, I don't think he'll ever be able to look to his right again. But my folks, well, they didn't see me the same after that. I think they'd have rather given up the land than have it come to violence. And I don't know if that was something we could have avoided or if it was the cost of trying to fix things.
I'm glad to see you in good health, my lord. I suggest we proceed to Neketa, my lord. It is the largest city in Deadfire, and we shall be better able to get our bearings there.
The ring of a bell comes to you on a cold wind. The ring comes again and again, until soon the air is full with the sound of 1,000 bells ringing all at once. You feel a resonance in your core, a bell ringing in tune with all the others. Something in you bends, then breaks, and you are borne away on the ringing. The tide of bells recedes. You lever yourself up onto your knees and realize you have been here before. You stand in Bareth's realm. You are alone. And then, you are not. An indistinct figure stands before you, flickering between forms like a fire-cast shadow. A fixed, taunting grin. Bottomless black eyes. A yawning chasm in the earth. The aspects of Bareth, the Usher and the Pallid Knight, shift in and out of focus. And at their back, 4 indistinct shades hover. You feel an eternity stretch out behind each of them, reaching back to places so distant and yet so near you cannot comprehend their size. The shifting image of Bareth settles on the aspect of the Pallid Knight.
Watcher.
Her voice is the discordant clangor of gongs struck out of time.
I tasked you to discover Eothas's intentions. Tell me what you have learned.
The Pallid Knight knits her brows.
He does not seek to return to the Beyond? Intriguing.
Her sickly pale skin pulls tight across the bones of her face, as if the shell of this aspect does not quite fit the impossible creature it contains. The figure nearest Bareth dissolves and reforms in the image of a thin-lipped, ancient crone, whose face has felt the melting kiss of fire. The goddess Wodica strides forward.
Does Eothas frighten you, Bareth? He should. Magran subdued Eothas's influence once before, and yet he returned.
From out of Wodica's shadow shuffles a hunched, bald man you recognize as the god Scan. His skin is mapped with swollen lash scars, and breath whistles through the ragged hole in his face where his nose once was. He does not speak, but stares up at Wodica, with naked loathing plain on his ruined face. Wodica steeples her long, knob-jointed fingers.
We must annihilate Eothas now, before he makes a rash decision we cannot easily annul. A moon would do the job nicely.
Boudica throws her head back and laughs. The sound is a dry, rasping bark.
Andra could do with a new act. Her current one has grown rather stale.
They see to their own affairs. You will speak to them in time, should you have the need.
The figure beside the aspect of Berith flows forward in a swirling cloud of ash. The ash falls to the tiles and reveals a molten-skinned woman, leaning on a monstrous, wicked-edged broadsword. Magran's glowing lips curl in disdain.
We must find a solution to the problem of Eothas that is neither do nothing, nor destroy the world. I acted in haste during the Saints' War. You will not goad me into doing the same now. To move against him while his plans are unknown would be the height of foolishness. We must find wisdom in precaution.
Magran looks at you as one might a wayward gob of spit on one's shoe.
It is no business of yours what the gods decide.
Another of the silent figures steps forward, and the warm, golden light of a summer's afternoon spills across your face.
Let's all take a deep, calming breath. Perhaps cooler heads will prevail.
Behind Helia's words, you hear the soft coo of doves.
Eothas has been separated from us for too long. Isn't it possible he intends only to gather enough souls to reclaim his realm in the beyond?
You look up then into avian eyes. Through them, you see clouds of starlings converge and divide. Helia puts a feathered hand to her chest.
He wouldn't. Betrayal is not in his nature.
Scan shuffles forward.
Yes, yes. We should welcome Eothas' return to the fold. His gratitude we can leverage to cajole him into divulging his plot. Then, when he believes himself to be in our good graces, we do as Boudica suggests, and crush him into the earth.
Scan pauses, inspecting you.
Ah, and here is the Watcher who killed Lord Harren, the man who tormented his dear niece, Alice. Curious.
Scan licks the ragged edge of his lipless mouth and grins, then turns to Helia.
I did not expect such a deliciously ruthless idea from you, Helia. I am impressed.
Helia's feathered crest stands on end.
You wretched little creature.
Your point is well made, little Watcher. If self-evident, Eothas has not been known to possess a vindictive nature. Indeed, he has occasionally been magnanimous to a fault. However, if we push him to the brink of reason, there is no telling what he may do. He is, as ever, unpredictable.
Something akin to fondness creeps into her voice. The pallid knight gestures for silence.
Eothas cannot be killed, but he may be subdued. Yet to do so will take immense power and time. Both stand in his favor.
Magran grits her black glass teeth.
That is why we must ascertain his plans before he has the chance to put them into motion.
She begins to pace. Her steps leave little trails of fire in her wake. Magran stops and balls her hands into flaming fists.
Even if we manage to destroy his current form, there is the possibility he could return, if he has not already absorbed all of his children.
The pallid knight casts a cold, cutting glare in Magran's direction.
Magran speaks too freely. That knowledge is beyond your ken, Watcher.
Boudica waves the gods to silence.
Eothas gathers strength. His strength is a threat to us.
Her voice takes on a sharp, almost panicked edge.
There is no sensible answer to the question of a resurgent Eothas, other than decisive, final action.
Your opinion is unasked for and unnecessary. but noted nonetheless.
Though her tone is impassive, the banked fury in her eyes says well enough what she thinks of your interruptions.
We will act when it is appropriate to do so, and not before.
The Pallid Knight steps away from the half-circle of assembled gods. She pulls herself up to a great height. The words she speaks next come not from her mouth, but from all around you.
Follow him, Watcher.
The black of the Pallid Knight's irises expand until her eyes are as dark and cold as the void between stars. She bends down and brings her ghostly face level.
Your debt to me remains unpaid.
She stares at you, unblinking. Like a needle drawn to a magnet, you are pulled toward her one compulsory step at a time. Helpless to resist, you tumble into her impossible eyes. You fall wildly, endlessly, unable to find your bearings or slow your spin. And in the distance, above, no, behind you, comes an insistent ringing. You angle yourself toward it, searching for the sound. A small silver bell appears just inches from your fingertips. You reach for it, straining to still its interminable ringing. The moment you touch it, your soul slams into your body with all the force of a fall from the top of the sky. You blink open your eyes and find yourself on the floor of your ship's cabin.
You're far from home, farmer. How did you make it all this way in your little boat?
Why do we gotta be farmers just because we're from Deerwood?
Are you a farmer?
Yeah, but you can't just assume. We got rabble-rousers, too.
I'm the harbor master, Kauha. I must ask your reason for docking in Neketa. Is that so? Well, Andra told me to protect the harbor, and Wodika herself signed the order. They would have had Galawain do it, but he was sick this morning.
Show them. Show them what you are.
We don't have to tolerate these idle threats. If you value your life, get back on your ship and head for open sea.
I will help you.
What's the matter with you? What are you doing? If you're trying to scare us with some cipher mischief, save the purple flames for the tribes of the Outer Islands.
Now.
What? What is this?
Run for it!
They took him. For what? Bataro's the second this month.
And they say the pittings aren't increasing.
I see much and many things. I simply do not. I have heard much as well. Footsteps like distant thunder. The wind whispers of a watcher who chases Eothas. I also hear the Raparu's heartbeat, grown thready and pained. Now a watcher comes to the gullet, as Amira has shown me you would. The Raparu are being crushed from the top. We starve so slowly, it is an agony. This is the Huana way. The fish of our nets are drawn for the tribe. The fruit of our fields, too, is reaped for the tribe. And the coin of our pockets belongs not to one, but to all. All spoils are gifted to the whole of the tribe. The tribe then partakes from the top down. The Mataru risk their lives to protect the tribe. The Kuaru provided skilled goods and services. The tribe takes care of the Raparu more than we contribute to the tribe. Or it did, before our numbers swelled too large. The Dawn Stars would feed us, but the guards forbid them to pervert the order of sharing. There was a man who helped us. A soft-hearted pirate named Ulug. He worked with the Principe captain, Mad Morena, they call her, to bring us food from the black market. But for days now, Ulug was never late with his shipments. Always very conscientious. A good boy. For the Queen refuses to increase our share of the prize share. Without Ulug's shipments, we will surely starve. I am asking you, what else can we do? If you do not know your way to the row, someone at the hole may be able to help you. I hear.